Mel Kiper Jr. has released his latest mock draft 2.0, and has the New Orleans Saints taking Tyler Warren, 9th overall. Now, this is important not because Mel is right all the time, not because Mel is a draft expert, but Mel is connected, no doubt about it. So what Mel says, you have to assume there have been rumblings. There have been someone saying something about the possibility of Tyler Warren going 9 to the New Orleans Saints. Now, I know there's been some talk recently about how much the Saints love Warren. And I mean, yeah, Warren's awesome. He is sweet. He is a Brock Bowers-esque player in this draft. Tight end is an interesting position because, like I've said before, I said this actually with Brock Bowers last year. The worst thing for a draft prospect is that little TE next to position. Because if that said WR, if that said anything else, he's shooting up the draft board, okay? Same thing with Bowers. Bowers arguably was the best receiver in the draft last year, but he had a TE, which knocks you down a little bit. In today's NFL, with the usage of certain players and how important just weapons are and playmakers are, don't discount Tyler Warren as just being a tight end. All right, if he's Sam Laporta, if he's Brock Bowers, he's deserved of that 9th overall pick. So it's interesting because now we can assume there's a little bit of smoke. Okay, now we can assume that this is a rumor, it's a possibility, and we need to factor it in. So in this video, we'll talk about that. We'll look over some Tyler Warren stuff, and we'll react like only I can do.
His latest 2025 NFL mock draft, he had Penn State's Abdul Carter going number 1 to the Titans, while 2 quarterbacks cracked the top 10. Cam Ward at number 2 to the Browns. Gosh, they've had a revolving door there. And Shedeur Sanders at number 7 to the Jets. Wow. Heisman winner Travis Hunter lands at number 3 to the Giants. I mean, we need a quarterback too.
Would be very interesting if the Giants don't go quarterback. Now, you have to also factor in the Matt Stafford stuff. Recently, we've heard Matt Stafford connected to some of these teams, so that may change things where if you're the Giants and you think, well, we can get Matt Stafford and we could take Mason Graham or Travis Hunter or Will Campbell or whoever we want. That could also factor in their decision.
Here's my guy, Mel Kiper. There he is. Mel, you're the best.
What's going on, big time, Mel?
Something else, too, to think about with this. So I have not seen, I don't think, a single draft that has Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, maybe Mason Graham recently out of the top 5. So when you're mock drafting, you can basically say they ain't falling. Like they're not an option, not falling, not a thing. Like Jalen Walker, first time I've seen him at 8, he could easily not be there. But at this point, I'd be very comfortable saying Carter, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, Will Campbell. I think could slide a little bit, but we'll throw him in there. I'd be very confident saying Carter, Ward, Hunter, Campbell, and Graham are that's your top 5. That is your top 5. Shedeur is the question mark if they reach on a quarterback and drags him into the top 5, but certainly these 4, Carter, Ward, Hunter, and Graham, I think are no doubt about it, they're going top 5. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit because Shedeur Sanders and all that doesn't have anything to do with the Saints. Cam Ward has nothing to do with the Saints. Travis Hunter has nothing to do with the Saints. We're going to skip ahead to the Ashton Jeanty talk because Ashton Jeanty is a real possibility for the Saints. I tweeted that out, or I was talking about it on a video, and someone said, he's nothing like Jahmyr Gibbs, which, come on, guys. Here is from J.J. Zachariason. There are only 4 players in the running back ZAP model with a score above 99. Todd Gurley, Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, Christian McCaffrey. Bijan Robinson was under 99, but Ashton Jeanty currently projected 99.2. Okay. If Jeanty is there at 9, and you have him as in this ballpark, now this doesn't mean he's guaranteed to be this guy who, we understand that. But if you think he is the next Christian McCaffrey, the next Jahmyr Gibbs, the next Saquon Barkley, the next Todd Gurley, you have to take him at 9. You do not have a choice. You have to take him at 9. Just like I was saying with Tyler Warren and Brock Bowers. that is how you have to look at the draft. And I've heard people say, well, don't take Jeanty at 9. You can take whatever running back in the 3rd round. Like you're exchanging RB for RB, but that's not really how it is. You know, like passing on Jahmyr Gibbs so that you can get Kendre Miller, bad news bears. It's RB for RB. You know, people think like, well, we just got to fill the position. We just got to, as long as we draft a RB or as long as we draft a WR, we're good to go. But there are huge tiers to all the players. So when you have a player with a ceiling as high as, the two things you need to look at when it comes to these prospects is their floor, obviously. How high is their floor? But you also have to look at their ceiling. Some players, good player, rotational player, special teams player, whatever. Some players have a ceiling of MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. You know, like Jahmyr Gibbs. Like you have, hey, this guy's ceiling is best running back in the NFL. Not every prospect has that ceiling. Not every prospect, you go into the draft saying, this guy could be the MVP. This guy could lead the league in receiving. This guy could do this. Certain players, like Ashton Jeanty, like Brock Bowers last year, certain players do carry that kind of ceiling. Let's get back to Ashton Jeanty. What's going on here? Did I mute myself?
And Jeanty and what he was able to do, 2,600 yards, 30 total touchdowns, seemed like he would be an ideal pick for the Dallas Cowboys. But that's not where you have Dallas going. Why?
Well, mostly because Ashton Jeanty, he has him going 6. Yeah, he has Ashton Jeanty going 6th overall. So that's a big reason why he's not going to Dallas.
2 running backs. And you say, why does Kiper have 2? It's a philosophy. It's not a rating. My rating has Jeanty up at 4 and Hampton at 19. Okay, I had McCaffrey high. I had Zeke high. I had Bijan high. But the philosophy is don't take a running back in the 1st round. But you don't grade on philosophy. You grade on ability.
That's also an old philosophy. So that was for sure the philosophy 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Don't take a running back in the 1st round. Why? Because the NFL had moved to a passing game where you don't really need a bell cow running back. You don't need a 30-carry running back. You just get anybody, really, rotate them. You want them to be receiving backs. Anybody can do the job, and you're going to focus on the quarterback position and the wide receivers. That's changed now. Now we've seen the NFL worry so much about stopping the pass that the running back position has now become the dominant position offensively, where you get a guy who can run 27, 28, 29 times a game like Saquon Barkley, you do it, right? So as we see defenses shift into that too high shell, and we see teams that can really dominate the line of scrimmage, we see those teams be really successful. And we see teams now who can move you around and run the football and go on these long extended drives. That is what is in vogue in the NFL. So you got to be able to pivot on those philosophies. We pivoted away from running backs. Now I think it's time to pivot back to them. So you're going to hear that a lot, like, don't draft a running back that high, whatever. I think that's 2000 at least.
Jeanty to the Raiders, who couldn't run the football. Pete Carroll wants to do that. Makes sense. Dallas has had success taking 1st-round running backs. Emmitt Smith, Zeke Elliott. That's what they need, right? They get Amarian Hampton, who's a very underrated running back for what he did at North Carolina. People forgot because North Carolina struggled. They forgot how good he was and how good he was 2 years in a row. Jeanty is a phenomenal running back.
The Cowboys going Brian Schottenheimer as head coach and Omarion Hampton 12th overall. It'll be tough for Cowboys fans.
Back. So for me now, with Barkley leading the Eagles, helping lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl win, this is a copycat league, and I think people now are getting back to the running back position. I've always said it's critical, it's important. I've always talked about the 2nd through 7th round running backs that you can get, but certainly these 2 running backs are well deserving of going in round 1 and would be major additions to the teams I have them going to.
Mel, can I go back to the Giants?
All right, let's talk about Tyler Warren. So, very interesting statistic here. Now, I'm going to ask you a pop quiz. We do pop quiz in the comments sometimes. What are some of the most important things you think there are when it comes to grading a prospect or when it comes to determining a prospect's success in the NFL? Let's just use defensive linemen, okay? A lot of people will lean on what they did in college, right? Are they a big game player? How they perform against the big guys? How many sacks did they have? What kind of they played in a bowl game or they played in a conference championship? Did they show up in the big moments, right? Are they clutch? Things like that. Kevin Cole had a great article out there. We're just going to look at very briefly. Talks about how important each drill is for this, it was defensive tackles. But he does this for every position. And it shows you how the drill can affect plus minus. Plus minus is like a weighted value on the player. The most important indicator for NFL success, now it's not perfect, but the most important indicator for NFL success for a defensive tackle prospect is the 3-cone drill. If you just looked at the 3-cone drill and weight, you could create a model that relatively predicted success in the NFL. You could completely shut out what they did in college. You could completely shut out their statistics. You could completely shut out their win-loss record or their conference championships or how they played in the bowl game or how they played against Michigan or their national championships or whatever. And you could just look at their weight, their size, and you could have them run the 3-cone drills, test their agility, be done for the day. So remember that, ladies and gentlemen, because I've also heard a lot of people say, well, you should draft like Will Howard. You should draft Will Howard. He comes up in the big moments. That ain't a thing. Like coming up in the big moments, not a thing. All right. Clutch, not a thing. Experienced, blah, 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 played in cold weather, not a thing. All right. So with the combine coming up, keep that in mind as you're looking at prospects. Now let's go over Tyler Warren. I love Tyler Warren. I love him like a brother. Okay. I think he's awesome. I watched a ton of Penn State this year, just how it played out. It's a lot of 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. gambling. Start the day off. Big Ten. Let's rip. Watched a lot of Tyler Warren. He stands out big time. He is a guy who, he's a utility kind of player. He's a joker, I guess is what the technical term would be. He's a joker position where he could play every position. In today's NFL, he reminds me a lot of how Sam Laporta is used. He reminds me a lot how Brock Bowers is used. He reminds me a lot how Travis Kelce is used. He reminds me a lot how Mark Andrews is used, where sometimes Mark Andrews will do the tush push, right? Sometimes he's going deep. Sometimes he's intermediate. Sometimes he's short. Sometimes he's getting 15 targets like Brock Bowers. Sometimes he's getting volume. Tyler Warren is kind of that guy where he fits. He just so happens to fit the current NFL perfectly. 3rd and 1, he's willing to run the football. And whatever it is, whether it's a tight end, like a tight end pull kind of thing, or whether it's a tush push or just a regular QB draw, like Mark Andrews does sometimes. Travis Kelce's done it sometimes. He's perfect for that. Perfect for a creative offense. And Tyler Warren's situation, like if you think the Saints need a playmaker and McMillan's off the board, and you're like, I don't know if I want to go wide receiver here, but we do need a playmaker. This is where I would shift to Tyler Warren. Arguably, he'd be better than McMillan, I think. 6'6", 257 pounds. Now I'm filming this before the combine, so we'll see how a lot of this stuff plays out. His player rating on draftbuzz.com, 87.9 out of 100. He's the number 1 ranked tight end, obviously. 4.68 40 time. I don't know if that is hand timed or machine or whatever. Last year at Penn State, absolutely crazy season, including a 17. Here we go. From high school quarterback to record-setting tight end, Tyler Warren's journey exemplifies the modern evolution of the position. Yep, exactly what I'm saying here. 6'6", 257-pound athlete, rewrote Penn State's tight end record books, finishing his career with 22 total touchdowns. He shattered the single-season mark with 67 catches, 808 yards, highlighted by a historic 17-catch, 224-yard masterpiece, which is now the Big Ten tight end record. Unbelievable. Okay? And they're right. Like, this is kind of the new tight end where you can do it all. You're an athlete. You could play any position. You just happen to be a tight end. Scouting report strengths, exceptional spatial awareness working against zone coverage, consistently finds soft spots and presents a massive target with natural hands, and catch radius that extends beyond his frame. This is good, especially when zone is the predominant coverage with this too high shell that we're seeing nowadays. Dynamic weapon after the catch who gallops past defenders in the open field. Long strides eat up grass quickly. Former QB background, has high football IQ. Dangerous seam runner. Red zone nightmare. Nearly unstoppable at 50-50 balls. Creative offensive weapon who can align anywhere from inline to split wide. Scored rushing touchdowns from Wildcat and even threw a touchdown pass this season. Exactly what I'm saying. Now, this is what you want in a tight end. This is what you want in that player. Do not, in the comments below, say he can be our Taysom Hill. Guys, remember, if you're saying he can be our Taysom Hill, you are stuck in 2021. Okay? Let me look around real quick. Sean Payton ain't the coach of the New Orleans Saints. Okay? Let me check again. Clint Kubiak ain't the OC of the New Orleans Saints. All right? Quit trying to replicate the past. We're moving forward. We don't want another Taysom Hill. We want a new Tyler Warren. Okay? So if you're typing he can be the next Taysom Hill, just backspace it, delete it, just, hit the backspace, and no harm, no foul. Okay? No one will know. No one will know. Okay? Shows reliable hands in traffic, willingness to work middle of the field, maintained focus through big hits. Love that. Natural leader who brings infectious energy and competitiveness. Teammates feed off his swagger and aggressive mentality between whistles. Sounds like me. His weaknesses, fair and balanced. You decide. Still developing consistency as an inline blocker. Okay, he's more of a playmaker, more of a weapon, more of a receiving tight end, whatever. Can get redirected too easily within his routes. Long frame sometimes works against him. Route running lacks nuance at times. Relies more. Yeah, so he's more of just a raw route runner where he's just trying to be out-athletic everybody, which, will occasionally coast through routes when not a primary target. Hate that. Effort level can dip when he knows ball isn't coming his way. You better figure that out, Tyler. Base strength at point of attack needs development. Gets overwhelmed by power rushers when asked to pass protect. So his blocking, not great. All right. Scouting report. Receiving ability alone warrants first-round consideration. This is obviously before he flew up draft boards. And I would assume he's going to continue to fly up draft boards. He is a guy who, when they watch him at the combine and they watch him run routes and they watch him work out, he's going to just fly up the board. Let's see. Instinctively finds voids in zone coverage and maintains leverage against man. West Coast and spread offenses will salivate over Warren's versatility. Who's that sound like? West Coast, might as well say Kellen Moore. His experience operating from multiple alignments meshes perfectly with modern 12 personnel packages that create mismatches through pre-snap motion. Run-heavy teams shouldn't overlook him either, despite raw blocking technique. His competitive toughness and willingness to stick his nose in the dirt suggest untapped potential as an inline tight end. Tape shows a rare specimen who brings infectious swagger between the white lines, whether he's high-pointing throws in the red zone or galloping past linebackers up the seam. All right. Saints are in a hell of a spot. Saints are in a hell of a spot. I'll tell you that. If everything falls the way that it could fall, if we're sitting there and we can choose between Ashton Jeanty or Tyler Warren, I'll tell you what, if Ashton Jeanty and Tyler Warren are sitting there and we take Mike Green, I'm going to be pissed. No offense to Mike Green, but I'm going to be pissed. Okay? So, I love it. I like that this is the current news. I like that this is the current rumor for the Saints. It's like, hey, Tyler Warren's a possibility. Tyler Warren's a legitimate option here at 9. I like that because I want the Saints to be in that number. Last year, I thought Brock Bowers, I thought he would have been intriguing if he was an option, and Brock Bowers ended up being super sweet. But you just got to kind of, there's a difference between best player available and just best player, right? A lot of people say best player available. In a way, I agree, but I'm more identify who are the game-changing, impact-playing, all-pro level, team-defining players. Identify who that is and find them and get them and fill your roster with them. I don't care if you're I don't care if you desperately needed a left tackle, but you can get the next Malik Neighbors. Get him. Take him. Figure out the other thing later. You know, if you do that enough, all of a sudden you're looking around and you're like, damn, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we have Sam Laporta, and we have Penei Sewell, and we have Jahmyr Gibbs. Damn, we're cool. You know, we have Aiden Hutchinson. We've got, like, okay, we're kind of rocking and rolling here. Like, that's how it happens. Okay, so don't try and just fill out the Sudoku puzzle of, well, we need 1 wide receiver, 2 defensive linemen, 3 this, and 2 that, and just get stuck in on that. If we need, which we do, if we need a wide receiver, if we need defensive linemen, and we need interior offensive linemen, but we walked out of it with the next Brock Bowers, the next, I don't know, the next C.J. Stroud, and the next, who's the best? Name your best safety in the NFL. If that's how it played out, I wouldn't be mad about that at all. Did we fill all of our positions of need? No. Did we get all pro players? Yes. That's what matters. Okay. We are going to do a ton of draft coverage over the next couple of months. The combine is this week. There will be a ton of stories out of the combine. We'll be debunking them. We'll be dispelling them. We'll be highlighting some players. The draft is so fluid, ladies and gentlemen. Like, it is crazy fluid. Kenneth Grant last week was up as high as number 4 overall. Today, I saw him at 19 overall, right? Tomorrow, he could be 7th overall. Tyler Warren, right now, 9th overall. 2 weeks ago, 22 overall. Who the hell knows? All right, we know how this works, so we're going to try and stay on it as much as possible. It is fluid, though, so keep that in mind. But enjoy the combine. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments below what you think. Would you be interested in this young hombre right here? Tyler Warren from Mechanicsville, Virginia. Would you be interested in this? I would. I would love Tyler Warren at 9 overall. I would absolutely love it. I would love a lot of players up there. Ashton Jeanty, same thing. But love it. Love it. And a lot of people are going to say, well, why take Tyler Warren at 9? You could take Mason Taylor in the 5th round. Did you not hear what I said? If you can get Sam Laporta at 9, take Sam Laporta at 9. I'm not risking Sam Laporta to go draft Foster Moreau. Okay? Get on down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you in the next video.